Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be our next video on endosymbiont theory. So let's get started on this next video. So what is the endosymbiont theory? Well, the endosymbiont theory basically states that mitochondria and chloroplasts are believed to have developed a symbiotic relationship between the cells that they are now part of. So they used to be bacteria way billions and billions of years ago, and they've evolved into all of these organelles via the consumption of other bacteria from other cells. So we can see here the mitochondria and chloroplasts. The mitochondria kind of looks like a bacterium. So it looks like the eukaryotic cell that we now know today at some point in its lineage and at some point in its phylogeny consumed another bacterium. And what it did was provided that bacterium a home, and the bacterium provided it with food and energy that it could go through and allow it to live. So billions and billions of years ago, we had all of these bacterium floating around in space, and a cell decided to go through and consume the bacterium. Now, once it consumed the bacterium, it didn't digest it. It actually left it alone inside its body. And by doing that, the bacterium provided it with energy, with glucose or with ATP. And the cell provided it a sheltered home so that way it didn't go through and get eaten by other cells. So our evidence for this, well, we have DNA. And if we look at the DNA between mitochondria and we look at the DNA between the cells, well, they have their mitochondria and chloroplasts have their own DNA, which is separate from the DNA found in the nucleus of the cell. We can also see a double membrane that surrounds mitochondria and chloroplasts, which gives us further evidence that each was ingested by a primitive host. And then if we look at it a little bit more, we have reproduction. The two organelles also reproduce like bacteria when we go through. And when your cells produce more bacteria, or when plant cells produce more chloroplast, they're doing it in a very similar way to bacteria replicating via binary fission. So when we talk about mitochondrial inheritance, well, we can actually go through and look at your genetics, and we can lineate back and look at phylogenies between your ancestors based on these mitochondria. So the thing is the nucleus of the cell, the DNA comes from both parents. But the mitochondria, the DNA only comes from the mother. So by going through and looking at this, what we can see is our offspring cell is a combination of both the mother and the father, but we can go through and look at the DNA in the mitochondrion to understand phylogeny and ancestral lineage on the mother side of the family tree. So when we're thinking about this, well, mitochondria they always come from your mother. And mitochondrial DNA is passed down from the mother to both sons and daughters, and we call this mtDNA. And this mtDNA is transmitted through the female egg. Now, mtDNA is non-recombinant, which we will talk about when we discuss mitosis and meiosis, but it's virtually unchanged, and the maternal line is unchanged through generations. So you can go through and map mitochondrial DNA to better understand your family lineage and better understand the history and your family tree. So did you guys learn? Well, did you guys learn a couple of things? Did you guys learn the endosymbiont theory? Did you guys learn what evidence we have for the endosymbiont theory? And then did you guys learn about mitochondrial inheritance? This is going to be the end of the video. I will see you guys in class tomorrow.